Environmental journalism is really important right now, both because of the crises that we face from climate change and environmental degradation, but also because lack of information is one of the major problems we have in actually addressing these issues. Mongabay is an environmental science platform, and we're really focused on the intersection of nature and people, with a special focus on the places where there's the most biodiversity and the greatest threat to biodiversity. So that tends to be the tropics. We have 5 bureaus around the world. So we have a Global English Bureau, we work in Indonesia, we do Spanish for Latin America, Brazilian Portuguese, and then in India we have English and Hindi. And so each one of these bureaus is producing original content. Mongabay's approach is quite a bit different than sort of your average corporate-led media, because we focus on topics that aren't profitable from an advertising standpoint to focus on. So we're really picking topics that, by shining a light on it, can actually drive change. We can help translate the information for key decision makers and policy makers, but also the general public, to really understand and care about these issues. The other side of this is kind of like investigative reporting, where you can expose wrongdoing. But the threat to environmental defenders is increasing, and there's been a big jump in the amount of murders, but also intimidation and threats of violence to people who provide a critical service to humanity, and I think it's really important to recognize that. So one of my favorite stories resulting from Mongabay reporting, there's a company called United Cacao that had this IPO in London, and it had this really nice story about producing cacao sustainably. We were using satellite data to see where deforestation was happening around the world. And as we dug into this data, we saw this area in the Peruvian Amazon where there was a big increase in deforestation. And through investigative reporting, we found that it was actually this company that was clearing this forest. We broke this news story to an international audience. Other media outlets reported on it. NGOs started doing campaigns around the issue. 2 years later, the company was delisted from the London Stock Exchange. And the reason that was important was it had been planning to raise more capital to clear a vastly larger area of forest for plantations. Mongabay played a role in contributing towards this outcome, which avoided the clearance of about 100,000 hectares or 250,000 acres of forest, which if you put in carbon terms, is about 30 million tons of CO2 emissions. Mongabay's grown far beyond what I ever could have imagined it. From just being me in my department to having a network of about 900 contributors in about 80 countries. I just think it's really important for people to be aware of what's happening in the world around us and what it's doing to the species and ecosystems that we all depend upon.